It used to be better ingredients, better pizza, but is this pizza chain sliding off the rails like a slab of melted mozzarella? Hold on to your pepperoni. This is the shady side of Papa John's menu. Even though the chain's website claims in big, bold letters that there's nothing secret about our dough, there kind of is. While the company is transparent about the ingredients, it's not quite as clear about where the dough is made. Papa John's says the pizza is made with fresh, never frozen original dough, so you probably assumed it was made fresh on site. But the dough is actually made off-site and trucked in. True, it's not frozen, but it's not as fresh as you might think.
Papa John's just took that fresh, never frozen dough and hand stretched it.
Papa John's employs several factories around the US to make its pizza dough. To meet demand, these factories send out 4 million pizza balls per week to restaurants. It's true that the dough is never frozen, but it's still refrigerated, not freshly made, when it arrives at the store. Since your local Papa John's isn't making it fresh on site, that dough might be sitting around for a while, and your pizza crust may taste different depending on how long it's been since the last dough delivery. There's a sweet spot for the best flavor. If you've ever gotten pizza and the crust had a yeasty flavor that reminded you of beer, one former shift leader claimed on Reddit that it's probably because it was made with old dough. Another employee claimed that if a location sold more or less pizza than usual, or the delivery truck schedule was different, they may have used less than ideal dough. The dough isn't ready to go fresh off the truck. Instead, it needs to proof for 3 days. Still, if demand is higher than usual, the shop might have to use it anyway. If you loved the boneless chicken wings from Papa John's, you may be disappointed with the new version. Customers have complained that the recipe change hasn't been for the better. YouTube reviewer Timmy's Takeout called them the worst Papa John's item I've ever had.
There's something for everyone.
Another customer on Facebook said, "Y'all should be ashamed, dino nuggets with barbecue sauce." The first hint that the wings were different was in the name change. The item used to be called chicken poppers. As one Papa John's manager explained on Reddit, "I can confirm that these new boneless wings aren't nearly as good as the old chicken poppers. They switched to save about $2 per case of wings." According to another employee on Reddit, the chicken comes pre-cooked, so the quality issue starts at the factory level. The new version is more like a nugget than wings. It has a different breading, and it isn't consistent in size. Luckily, it's not a mystery meat nugget, and it's made with all white meat chicken, but that doesn't keep some customers from suspecting that there's dark meat mixed in there too. Pizza bowls might seem like a good idea for anyone wanting to skip the crust. With a launch in 2022, they seemed promising. Starting at roughly $10, there's an Italian meats trio, garden veggie, or chicken Alfredo Papa bowl. There's also an option to create your own bowl with any of Papa John's toppings and sauces. But the bowls aren't winning any fans. The item has been called everything from boneless pizza to a pile of leftover pizza scraps. One look and customers were reeling. One Redditor posted, "Microwave baked, LOL. Seriously, that stuff looks like it came fresh from the frozen department of any supermarket, lying in wait next to the Stovers and banquets." Another Redditor remarked of the excessively liquidy contents, "A $2 microwave meal for $8, LOL. Several ingredients at Papa John's aren't quite as popular as the others, and since they don't get used up quickly, they may not be as fresh. While things like sausage, pepperoni, cheese, and red sauce go fast, any non-standard sauce may be suspect. One employee posted to Reddit, "Papa John's has a spinach Alfredo sauce that's delicious, but only gets ordered maybe once a week, and it hits its sell-by date 3 days after you open the bag, but no one actually throws it out until it's either gone or nasty looking." Less popular toppings also fall into this category. An employee shared, "So few people order anchovies that the leftover is sometimes forgotten and will still end up on a pizza. Considering that it's fish, it needs to be used up in a day, but not all stores will do that consistently." No, your favorite garlic sauce doesn't identify itself as butter on the label, but we wouldn't blame you for assuming that's what it's made of. Not only does the garlic sauce not contain butter, but it doesn't contain any dairy either. Luckily, what it does have is real garlic. Otherwise, it's water, soybean oil, salt, and chemicals.
I was talking with garlic sauce, and she said that you've been double dipping. Is that true?
About those chemicals, you might want to note the preservative called sodium benzoate, which comes with potential health concerns. When it's heated, the compound can convert to benzene, which is a known carcinogen. Plus, Healthline reports that studies show it can contribute to inflammation and ADHD. Packets of Parmesan cheese are free at most pizza places, but not necessarily at Papa John's. In 2023, one Redditor was surprised to find that Papa John's was charging 59 cents for each tiny Parmesan packet. Reportedly, some locations sell it for 10 cents per pack, but a driver for the chain commented on Reddit that they often hand it out for free even though they're supposed to charge extra. But Papa John's isn't the only pizza place charging for parm and red pepper flakes. It's happening at Domino's too. Before you say yes to that extra parm, you may want to check to make sure it's not going on your tab. If you remember Papa John's pizza from before 2019, it might taste different than what the chain is producing now. Or it might not. Nobody can seem to agree on this topic, even Papa John's top brass. Former and current owners of the franchise disagree on whether the recipe changed. A year after the company changed hands in 2018, original founder John Schnatter claimed ingredients and production were different, telling WDRB News.
I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days, and it's not the same pizza. It's not the same product. It just doesn't taste as good.
But the newly installed CEO, Rob Lynch, told CNBC in 2019, "We haven't made any changes to the way we make it or to what goes into our products." Even customers can't agree on this. Some swear it hasn't changed, while others say the flavor has gone downhill. Many people think the sauce specifically tastes sweeter. One customer claimed the pies were different when freshly cooked, and the leftovers were equally disappointing. When it comes to its famous motto, Papa John's seems to be backsliding on its commitment.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
And if you've noticed a change in toppings at Papa John's in the last few years, it's thanks to the transition to pre-sliced veggies. Papa John's employees began reporting that locations were making the switch from fresh sliced to pre-sliced veggies around 2020. Now the veggies come to the store pre-cut and bagged. A customer commented on Reddit, "While that saves on prep time, from my experience at Domino's, pre-packaged veggies are garbage. They're a lot worse to work with than just prepping veggies." As one Papa John's employee shared on Reddit, "The tomatoes smell fermented, even the fresh, straight out of an unopened package ones." Papa John's has an extra-large New York-style pizza crust on its menu, but customers aren't buying that it's really a New York-style pizza. One Redditor posted, "The New York-style pizza didn't seem all that different from the chain's regular pizza. It's just a little thinner with less end crust and is cut into fewer, bigger slices." Another Redditor commented, "Nothing New York about it really, it's just a standard pan pizza that's just a tad thinner." Yet another Redditor described it, saying, "My crust was thick and airy, not exactly like the typical Papa John's pizza, but it sure wasn't what I was expecting or what was shown in the pictures." Papa John's New York-style pizzas feature a thin crust with large slices, but when it comes to this iconic genre of pizza, the dough, sauce, and toppings matter too, an employee revealed to Reddit. "It's basically a 16-inch thin crust slapped out by hand, the same thing we do for the shakaroni. There's no special high-gluten flour in the mix to create the signature chewy crust texture. There isn't any New York-style pizza sauce, and there aren't always classic toppings available." Even so, the fact that Papa John's is now offering pepperoni on its New York-style pies is a small step in the right direction. While the prices on the Papa John's menu seem straightforward, you may see some surprise charges if you order delivery. Some are intentional fees, while others may be glitches on the app.
There's a 4-letter word I want you to remember. F-R-E-E.
Papa John's charges a delivery fee, but this amount doesn't go entirely to the delivery drivers, who also expect a tip. Some of this fee goes towards mileage reimbursement for the drivers, while some goes toward the insurance for company drivers. You may also want to check the math when making a payment. One customer found the app calculated the tip starting at 40% instead of the typical 15%. In 2016, one customer even sued Papa John's for taxing the delivery fee.